RedBeard. Ship of metal.
I am in Bristol, and I have been joined by Paul from the band Cannibal Corpse. How's it going, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Excellent. This is the first date of the Destroyers of the Faith tour, first date of the UK leg of it.
Yes.
How are you looking forward to playing the UK?
Oh, we're always looking forward to the UK. We have great shows whenever we come here. Probably our best in our last few tours have been the best turnouts I think we've had. So we're totally looking forward to this. It would have been great to have the new album out prior to being here, but regardless, it's coming out in a few days, and I think the shows will be fine. Great package we have with us, so we're totally looking forward to this.
Now, the album was meant to be out by now, obviously to coincide with the tour. What happened there to delay it?
I think, I'm not quite sure, but I think it was a little bit of the record label getting behind, possibly. I'm not 100% sure on that, but back when we did set this tour up, we're talking, it's been probably a year ago. We had this all rolling and, time frames and all that. And unfortunately, the release date got pushed back a month. I think we wanted it to have it out in February. So all the touring we would have done would have been, of course, for the album. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. It ends up being more of like a, precursor, little see Cannibal, here's some new songs, and hopefully gets the fans psyched to go get the record. So that's what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, now I said just before the interview that this time exactly a year ago I was chatting to Alex Webster, and you were deep in the writing stage trying to get everything sorted out.
Right.
How's the year been like since then?
It's pretty much the same probably since you talked to him. I mean, around that time, a year ago, we were, like you said, we were in the thick of it, and we wrote pretty much up until we went into record, which was September 1st of last year. And we worked hard for a couple of months doing that kind of thing, and then then just doing everything around the release, or doing video and doing photo shoots and doing a lot of interviews and all that kind of thing. So it's been a busy year with the writing and recording and all the prep work and all that, and we're just happy that it's all behind us very soon, because we're really excited to get this release out to the masses, and can't wait for what the fans are going to think, and we're happy with the record, so we hope that they are too. So.
Brilliant. I also had the good fortune last year of speaking to Eric Rutan.
Oh, good.
And he seemed incredibly happy to be working with you guys again. What's it like being in the studio with him and having his sort of production minds behind it?
That's great. I mean, he's a great guy. He knows a lot about what he does, of course, and I mean that's crucial. That's why you want a producer that obviously knows what they're doing in that way. So yeah, it's been great working with him on all three records. Like I said, he's a good friend of ours. Can't say enough good things about the guy. Really, he's just a workaholic. Really does the best he can do. In that way, of course, and pushes us to do the best that we can do. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I can't say enough of great things about the guy. He's an awesome dude, awesome producer, great death metal guitar player, all that kind of stuff. Eric's the man.
How much influence does he have over the final sound of Cannibal Corpse?
I mean, the sound, I guess he's going to have a big influence in a sense. I mean, when we go into record, we kind of know what we're going for. With Pat and Rob really know what they're looking for from their guitar sound. Alex the same way. But there's always, little tweaking, little trying of certain things differently in the studio. And I know Eric helps in those ways, of course. So, so he's going to have a big say in what the final sound is going to be. That's why you hire a producer, to be able to do those kind of things. So I think he has he's got a big say, but we like to work in conjunction with the producer as well. Like I said, it's not like we're rookies that are going in not knowing anything what we're doing, never been in the studio. Well, what do we do? So the fact that we've done it before and we do know what we're looking for helps big time. But that's why your producer's there, of course, to just help out and be the ringleader, and to make his suggestions, and hopefully everybody just compromises and agrees on things, and that's what we end up doing. And we just try to make the best recording possible in the end, and I think we've achieved it.
Yeah. You were back at, I thought you were back at Sonic Ranch for this one. You said you've split it between Sonic Ranch and Mana Studios. What's the reasoning?
Well, I mean, we wanted to do something a little bit different. Obviously, the last two were fully done at Mana Studios with Eric, so this time around, we looked at, let's at least do the beginning of the record in El Paso. It's a great studio. We haven't been there in 10 years. We love the environment and all that kind of a thing. So we went down to do the basic tracking in Texas there, and then we came back for the final month basically to do the mix, to do guitar solos, the vocals in Eric's studio in St. Petersburg. I think it was just, like I said, more just to really kind of mix it up a little bit, just to do something a little different, so it's not getting to be the same, environment, that we're in say the last two, and pretty much that was, really the only reason, like I said. And it's fun to work in Sonic Ranch. It's just an all-inclusive, great studio with a great vibe, and Eric has a great studio as well. It's all just a lot different in that kind of setting,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun to mix it up. I think we all enjoyed that, doing something a little different.
We should mention that your album is called Torture.
Yes.
Because we haven't yet said that.
Yes.
Your 12th studio album as well.
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, doing pretty well, I think. What can people expect from this album? Is it straight on from Evisceration Plague, or have you taken it back a bit?
I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I really am very pleased with the turnout for this record, for the song, the way the songs turned out, and they're very heavy, very catchy. I think it has a little bit of an old school vibe to it. Some of the songs that I'm listening to, like Demented Aggression, maybe Encased in Concrete, Torn Through, Rabid. It's got a little bit of an old school feel to it, in some sense. A lot with the tempos, I think, and maybe even the riffing. But I do think it's a good mix of some new Cannibal as well, like taking from like the next step from, say, Evisceration Plague. I mean, I guess the way I like to describe it too, it's kind of like to me, it's got like the raw ferociousness of Kill mixed with the precision of Evisceration, because using the click track again to write and record for this one, like we did for Evisceration. This time though, I think I felt a little more comfortable working around the click, and I think it's apparent in my drumming on the record. So I think it's a good mix of the last two, and yet, like I said, a little bit of old school thrown in there, maybe for good measure. But to me, it sounds fresh. It sounds a little more exciting, maybe than Evisceration, and it was a great album, But I truly think if you're a Cannibal Corpse fan, that I think you're really going to enjoy this new record of ours, Torture. Yes, Torture.
When it comes to writing the drum parts and writing the songs as a whole, I mean, how do you go about it?
Yeah, it's a little different. I mean, I think our way of writing these days, it's pretty much been the individual songwriter pretty much taking care of the whole song themselves, be it that Alex, Rob, or Pat. The way Alex pretty much writes these days is, he's a whiz when it comes down to all the modern day technology, and he really utilizes that with writing at home using Pro Tools and having all those things at his disposal to be able to write something that he can just put down and pretty much hand us a copy of like an MP3 of the ideas that he just made. Even drum machine, the parts that fit what's going on in the song for me to play, or at least get a good start at. But the way he's been writing in the last two records, he's been writing almost everything that he does for his songs. I would say I've changed very minimal on anything he's given me. Say like a song, for instance, Scourge of Iron on the new record, when he handed us the finished material, or what he finished, it's, like I said, it's an MP3. Here's the whole song basically that you can kind of just learn and play along to. And, we're always open to change things, or I am, if something didn't fit properly, but he does such a great job at that I end up leaving all the drum parts that he made for the song, because he knows what's going on. He's a great songwriter, and he can do it that way. Now, maybe Pat and Rob's songs are done a little bit differently, a little more old school. Like I might work with them, Rob might have 5 riffs, or the song pretty much complete in his head. We go over them, and then he maybe has ideas, or Pat will have an idea of what the drums may be, and then we'll take it from there, and just kind of work together. So it's done, a little more, like I said, individual in a way, but yeah, I just I obviously get together with the guys and we write, we fine tune the songs, I guess, with as a band, and I just try some things. Some things I might keep that if I hear a riff, what first thing that comes into my head, that's just like a natural thing, and we might end up keeping that just because of that vibe. And then other parts might be taken, might have to be thought out a little bit more on what to do, kind of a thing. So, it goes both ways for me. But yeah, I working with the click this time, I definitely feel a lot more comfortable, and I just felt I was able to do more around the click. Looking back to how I did it with Evisceration, it was so new to me. It was a little more difficult to really adapt. I did, but not as well as I am now. So I think that's apparent when you hear what I'm doing in the drum department, as opposed to at least in comparison to what I did on Evisceration Plague. So
you mentioned Scourge of Iron there. That song seems very, very slow.
Yep.
Well, a lot slower and a lot more chuggy than what we're used to from Cannibal Corpse. Was it a conscious effort to try and just mix it up?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we always want to write every song to be different. I mean, and I think we've done a good job over our whole career of mixing it up. I mean, early on, it was all about just speed. The first 4 albums or whatever, there's not much slow. There's a little bit here and there, but overall, we didn't really start slowing down, say, until maybe like Gallery of Suicide, when we wrote a song like Sentence to Burn or From Skin to Liquid, where you're going, wow, that's pretty slow all the way through for Cannibal, a little different. And then ever since then, we've seemed to have some of those songs in the set, or in, that we do right. So this time around being no different, really. We look at it as, we can have slow, we can have mid-paced, we can have the fast, as long as it's heavy, and I think that's always been key to us. So we look at it as Scourge of Iron's kind of like, the Evisceration Plague of this record. Obviously a standout track in that sense, where the tempo is a lot slower, but it works. I mean, I think Scourge is one of the heaviest songs on the record, and it's obviously not a very, technical song in a way. It's just a fist pounding pounder, that it's driving, and it's just so heavy sounding. So yeah, it was conscious just to mix it up. We, like I said, we don't want to just have to do the same tempos and write the same kind of a song every time. We like to mix it up, and Scourge is prime example of that. So.
Now you're one of 2 remaining original members of the band, so you've been there from the beginning.
Yeah.
How have you seen the band progress from the very start to now? What's changed in the band?
Yeah, I mean, I think overall not much has changed. Like really, when we think of the attitudes we had back then and what we're trying to achieve now, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just it's a different year. It's many years later. What's going to happen? Just the natural progressions, or should be there, maturing and all that kind of stuff, I guess. So I mean, I just really like to look back and when I hear all the Cannibal albums, and it sounds like us to me. It always sounds like us, and it's just maybe like here we are a couple of years later, after the last release, and that just keeps going, and we just try to do the best we can at that given moment to write the songs, and write heavy songs that we feel are heavy or catchy or what have you. So if anything, like really what stands out the most is exactly just the musicianship. We're trying to always get better as what we do, try to be better songwriters, just try to refine our sound, refine our playing, and I think we've slowly been doing that over the years, but at the same time, like I said, just retaining that Cannibal Corpse, primitive kind of edge, that quality that I think when you listen to all the albums, you can, they might sound a little different, like Eaton's going to sound different than, Wretched, or, The Bleeding's going to sound maybe different than this one, or whatever. You compare them, but I still really think that you can listen and go, that's Cannibal Corpse, So I think that's that's been key and a big key to our success over the years.
If we talk about your future just for a second now, you've got these UK dates coming up. Right. Then you've got also a US tour,
right,
to promote the album. Are there any plans after that yet, or are you just focusing purely on what's happening
Well,
now?
no, there is plans. We've had some plans. I think it's all coming to light now. These plans. I mean, yeah, we get done with this tour in a couple of days. We go do a secondary run in the U.S. for about a month. No major markets, because then in July and August of this year we're doing the Summer Slaughter tour in America, which is a big 10-band festival, like rolling through the country kind of a thing, playing a bunch of major markets. So that should be interesting. It's been going on the last few years in the States. We're headlining it this year, so we're looking forward to that. And then in between that, actually, we're coming back here to Europe in June, for pretty much the whole month of June, maybe a week into July, doing just a bunch of everything. Some headlining shows, some opening gigs, a bunch of festival gigs. So it's going to be a big mix of everything.
So a very busy year for you.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy year, and we're hitting a lot of countries we didn't just do on this last Full of Hate. I don't think there's any UK, of course, in that run, but yeah, that's that's happening in June, and then said that after that we got the Summer Slaughter. We'll more than likely be heading over to Japan, Australia, and maybe October-ish, somewhere around there. We're still working on that, but yeah, our year's pretty much booked, and I know we got some stuff that we're tentatively working on into next year as well. So yeah, we'll be busy for the next year and a half or whatever.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Paul. You're an absolute legend. Thanks for coming in to chat to me.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the interview. It's awesome, man. Appreciate that.
Break a leg tonight.
Oh, thank you.
RedBeard, ship of metal.